Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is a game that hasn't just aged, well, it feels timeless. Even today, it stands out as one of the best stealth action experiences ever made, with storytelling, gameplay, and design that still hold their ground against modern titles. Whether you're revisiting it or playing for the first time, it's a masterpiece that feels just as fresh now as it did when it first launched. Set in the 1960s during the Cold War, you play as Naked Snake, the man who would become Big Boss on a mission to infiltrate a jungle, rescue a scientist, and stop the defection of his mentor, the Boss. The story is classic Metal Gear, packed with political intrigue, emotional weight, and just the right amount of Kojima's signature weirdness. It's dramatic, it's over the top, and it'll leave you thinking about its themes of loyalty, sacrifice, and patriotism long after the credits roll. The gameplay is where Snake Eater really shines, especially for a game that came out in 2004. The jungle environment is an integral part of the experience. You're not just sneaking through hallways, you're surviving. You'll hunt animals for food, treat injuries in a detailed survival system, and use camouflage to blend into the environment. These mechanics make the game feel more immersive than many modern titles. It's not just about sneaking, it's about adapting to your surroundings. The stealth gameplay is still some of the best in the genre. You've got tools like tranquilizer darts, silence pistols, and gadgets to outsmart enemies. But what makes Snake Eater stand out is how creative it lets you be. You can poison guards with spoiled food, scare them with animals, or even fake your own death to escape a tight spot. The game rewards experimentation, and every encounter feels like a puzzle with multiple solutions. And then there are the boss fights. Oh man, the bosses. Each one is iconic, from the Fear's poison dart acrobatics to the Fury's flamethrower chaos. But the standout is the end, a sniper duel that's so innovative, it's still talked about today. You can go in guns blazing, engage in a tense game of cat and mouse, or even use real-world time to your advantage. It's a perfect example of Metal Gear's unique approach to design. If there's one thing that might show its age, it's the controls. They're a bit clunky by today's standards, but once you adjust, they feel second nature. And honestly, the game's design more than makes up for it. Metal Gear Solid 3 hasn't just stood the test of time, it's become even better with age. Its mix of tactical gameplay, emotional storytelling, and Kojima's unique vision make it a game that feels as relevant and exciting now as it did nearly 2 decades ago. Whether you're revisiting it or diving in for the first time, you'll find something special here. This is a piece of gaming history that still feels alive and kicking. BioShock. BioShock isn't just a game, it's an experience that feels as fresh and captivating today as it did when it launched in 2007. It's the kind of game that sticks with you thanks to its incredible atmosphere, gripping story, and gameplay that still holds up remarkably well. If you've never been to Rapture, you're missing out on one of the most iconic settings in gaming. The story begins with you, Jack, crash landing in the ocean near a mysterious lighthouse. From there, you're whisked down into Rapture, an underwater city that was meant to be a utopia but has fallen into chaos. What follows is a journey through this haunting world, unraveling its secrets while trying to survive its dangers. The narrative is packed with twists, moral questions, and one of the most famous moments in gaming history. Would you kindly prepare for your mind to be blown? Rapture itself is a masterpiece of design. It's dark, eerie, and dripping with personality. Every corner of the city tells a story, whether it's through scattered audio diaries, the Art Deco architecture, or the crazed splicers roaming the halls. Even now, Rapture feels alive, a place that's as beautiful as it is terrifying. The gameplay still holds up beautifully. BioShock combines first-person shooting with RPG elements, letting you customize how you approach combat. The introduction of plasmids, essentially superpowers like shooting fire, summoning lightning, or controlling enemies, is what makes it special. The combination of weapons and plasmids lets you experiment with creative strategies. Freeze a splicer, shatter them with a wrench, or set traps using the environment. It's all about how you want to play. And then there are the big daddies and little sisters. Taking on a big daddy is a nerve-wracking, heart-pounding experience. These hulking protectors won't bother you unless you threaten the little sisters, but when you do, get ready for a fight. Deciding whether to save or harvest the little sisters adds a moral choice to the game that stays with you. BioShock is a game that hasn't aged a day. Its blend of atmosphere, storytelling, and gameplay is still unmatched, making it a must-play for anyone who loves immersive, thought-provoking games. Whether you're visiting Rapture for the first time or the 50th, it's a journey you won't forget. Would you kindly give it a shot? Trust me, it's worth it. Batman Arkham Asylum. Batman Arkham Asylum is one of those rare games that doesn't just age well, it feels timeless. Even today, it stands as a benchmark for how to adapt a beloved character into a video game. The tight gameplay, gripping story, and iconic setting make it a masterpiece that still holds up against modern action games. The premise is simple but brilliant. You're Batman escorting the Joker back to Arkham Asylum after his latest crime spree, but of course it's all a trap. Joker takes over the asylum, unleashes its most dangerous inmates, and challenges you to take back control. What unfolds is a night of chaos, where Batman is up against not just his rogues gallery, but the asylum itself, which feels like a living, breathing character. What makes Arkham Asylum stand out is how it nails being Batman. The combat is smooth, intuitive, and satisfying. The free-flow combat system where you chain punches, counters, and gadgets into seamless combos still feels incredible today. It's simple to pick up, but deep enough to master, and there's nothing like taking on a room full of enemies and walking away without a scratch. But Batman isn't just about punching, it's about strategy, and this game knows it. The stealth sections are fantastic, letting you use fear and gadgets to pick off enemies one by one. Whether you're hanging from a gargoyle or crashing through a glass ceiling, you feel like a predator stalking his prey. The detective mode, where you can scan for clues and track enemies, adds another layer of depth that makes you feel like the world's greatest detective. Arkham Asylum itself is the perfect setting. The dark, twisted halls of the asylum are filled with secrets, from hidden Riddler trophies to chilling audio logs that flesh out the backstories of Batman's villains. It's a tightly designed map that feels expansive without being overwhelming, and every area has its own personality, from the grimy medical wing to the overgrown botanical gardens.
What's going on?
Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves is the kind of game that makes you sit back and say, wow, they don't make them like this anymore even years after its release. It's still a masterclass in action-adventure storytelling with jaw-dropping set pieces, tight gameplay, and a charm that hasn't aged a day. The game opens with one of the most iconic sequences in gaming, Nathan Drake waking up in a train hanging off the edge of a snowy cliff. It's a perfect introduction to the kind of roller coaster ride you're in for. The story takes you across the globe as Drake hunts for the lost city of Shambhala and its legendary treasure. Along the way, you'll deal with betrayals, ancient mysteries, and villains you love to hate. The pacing is incredible, seamlessly blending high-octane action with quieter, character-driven moments. The gameplay feels just as smooth now as it did then. The shooting mechanics are satisfying, the platforming is intuitive, and the puzzles strike a nice balance between challenging and fun. The combat scenarios encourage creativity. Do you sneak around, picking off enemies silently, or go in guns blazing? It's up to you. And let's not forget the set pieces. From a chaotic battle on a moving train to escaping a collapsing building, every moment feels cinematic in the best way. Visually, the game was a stunner when it launched, and it still holds up, especially in remastered versions. The environments are breathtaking, whether you're exploring lush jungles, icy mountains, or ancient temples. Naughty Dog's attention to detail makes every location feel alive and immersive. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves set the standard for cinematic gaming. It's thrilling, emotional, and endlessly entertaining. Even now, it's the kind of game you can pick up and play and be completely swept away by. Whether you're here for the treasure hunting, the action, or just to hang out with Nate and the gang, this is a game that truly never gets old. If you've never played it, you're in for something special.
In the air. Delta, this is KR-03. My bird's attacked.
Gears of War 3. The story picks up where Gears 2 left off. Humanity is on the brink of extinction, and the COG is barely holding on against the Locust and the new Lambent threat. Marcus Fenix and Delta Squad are back, but this time the stakes feel more personal. You're not just fighting to survive, you're fighting for the people you've lost and what little hope remains. It's a surprisingly emotional journey with moments that hit hard, especially if you've been following these characters since the beginning. The gameplay is as satisfying as ever. The cover-based shooting is tight, and the weapons feel weighty and powerful. Whether you're shredding enemies with the iconic Lancer chainsaw gun or blasting through them with a Gnasher shotgun, every firefight feels intense and rewarding. The enemy variety is excellent too, with new Lambent enemies adding a fresh twist to battles by forcing you to think on your feet. Gears of War 3 is a perfect send-off for the original trilogy. It's intense, polished, and packed with moments that'll stick with you long after you've finished it. Whether you're in it for the brutal combat, the co-op fun, or the story, it's a game that feels just as fresh today as it did when it launched. If you haven't played it yet, grab a Lancer and get ready to dive into one of the best shooters out there.
The road's blocked now. Lo siento, tíos. Parece que no era tan buena idea.
Left 4 Dead 2. Left 4 Dead 2 is one of those games that refuses to age. Released back in 2009, it's still the gold standard for cooperative zombie shooters. What makes it stand out even today is how much chaos, tension, and pure fun it delivers in every session. This isn't just a game you play, it's a game you survive. The setup is simple. 4 survivors are trying to make it through a zombie apocalypse. Each campaign is like a mini action movie, with you fighting through abandoned cities, creepy swamps, and even a full-blown carnival. The atmosphere is thick, the environments are detailed, and the pacing is relentless. You'll rarely get a moment to breathe before the next horde comes barreling in. The heart of Left 4 Dead 2 is its co-op gameplay. Playing with friends or even strangers is an absolute blast because it's all about teamwork. You're not going to survive on your own, you need to watch each other's backs, share health kits, and call out threats. It's the little moments like saving a buddy from a smoker's tongue at the last second or frantically reviving someone while a tank bears down on you that make it so memorable. And let's talk about the zombies because they're not your standard shambling undead. Sure, there are hordes of common infected that'll overwhelm you in seconds if you're not careful, but it's the special infected that steal the show. Each one has a unique way of ruining your day. Boomers cover you in bile, summoning a horde. Hunters pin you down in seconds. And tanks, they're just massive, terrifying forces of nature that can turn a good run into a disaster in seconds. The AI director is a genius bit of design that keeps the game feeling fresh. It adjusts the difficulty in spawns based on how your team is doing, so no 2 runs are ever the same. Maybe one run is a sprint to the safe room with little resistance, the next, a nightmare of relentless hordes, tanks, and witches in all the worst places. The addition of melee weapons in Left 4 Dead 2 is a game changer. There's something oddly satisfying about taking on a horde with a frying pan, a katana, or even a chainsaw. It adds variety to the combat and gives you another layer of strategy when ammo runs low. If there's one thing that really sets Left 4 Dead 2 apart, it's how well it captures the chaos of a zombie apocalypse. It's not about perfectly executed plans, it's about barely scraping by. It's yelling at your friends to close the door while you fend off a horde, laughing at the absurdity of a charger bowling over your whole team, and high-fiving when you finally survive a brutal finale. Left 4 Dead 2 hasn't just aged well, it's timeless. It's the ultimate co-op game, perfect for when you want to jump in, have some fun, and see how long you can last. Whether you're a veteran of the zombie apocalypse or new to the carnage, this is a game that never stops being fun. Grab your friends, load up your weapons, and get ready to run. It's still one of the best. Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2 is more than a shooter, it's an experience that pushes you to explore, survive, and piece together a world falling apart. What makes this game stand out isn't just how well it plays, it's the way it seamlessly combines story, atmosphere, and gameplay into something that feels alive. You step into the shoes of Gordon Freeman, a silent scientist turned reluctant hero, and find yourself in the oppressive dystopia of City 17. The Combine, an alien force, have turned Earth into a grim shell of its former self, controlling humanity with towering machines and constant surveillance. From the moment you step off the train, the game immerses you in this bleak world. NPCs don't just stand around, they react to you and their surroundings, making the environment feel eerily authentic. Combat is tight and varied. Sure, you've got your standard weapons, the trusty crowbar, the pulse rifle, but the standout is the gravity gun. It turns everyday objects into tools for survival. Need to smash a headcrab? Grab a barrel. Want to set a trap? Use a saw blade. It makes every encounter feel unique, encouraging creativity instead of just running and gunning. The pacing is another strength. One moment you're solving puzzles in a decayed industrial facility, the next you're speeding through a toxic wasteland on an airboat, dodging combined forces. Then there's Ravenholm, a level so atmospheric and tense that it feels more like a horror game. These shifts keep the experience engaging and unpredictable. The environments are meticulously designed. Every corner of City 17 and its outskirts tells a story without saying a word, whether it's the decaying remnants of humanity's past or the stark, oppressive structures of the Combine. The attention to detail makes every area worth exploring. If there's one thing Half-Life 2 does better than most, it's making the player feel like part of its world. Nothing feels static, and everything, whether it's a physics-based puzzle or an epic battle, feels like it belongs. It's not just a game about shooting enemies, it's about surviving in a world that constantly pushes back. Half-Life 2 isn't just a classic, it's a game that still has lessons to teach modern shooters. From its intricate world building to its unforgettable moments, it's a journey that remains worth taking. Halo Reach. Halo Reach is one of those rare prequels that knows exactly how to tell a story when you already know how it ends. It doesn't just fill in the gaps, it stands on its own as a heartbreaking, action-packed, and visually stunning entry in the Halo series. It's a game that delivers on all fronts, combining epic battles with a sense of tragedy that sticks with you. The story centers around Noble Team, a group of Spartan soldiers tasked with defending the planet Reach from the Covenant. You play as Noble 6, the newest addition to the team, and while your character is mostly silent, the rest of the squad brings a ton of personality, from Carter's leadership to Jory's heartfelt toughness. Every member of Noble Team feels distinct, and their arcs hit hard as the story progresses. The game does an incredible job of making you care about these characters, even as you watch their world crumble. Reach itself is one of the most beautiful and diverse settings in the series. From sprawling military installations to serene, mountainous landscapes, the environments are packed with detail and variety. The visuals still hold up today, especially in the remastered Master Chief Collection version, where the lighting and textures bring the planet to life. Gameplay-wise, Reach is a refinement of everything Halo does best. The gunplay is tight and satisfying, with a mix of classic weapons and new additions like the DMR, which quickly became a fan favorite. The addition of armor abilities like jetpacks, active camouflage, and sprinting adds a layer of strategy to both campaign and multiplayer. The variety in missions is fantastic too. You'll go from storming enemy fortresses to piloting a spacecraft in zero-gravity dogfights, and it all feels seamless. The battles are classic Halo, big, chaotic, and full of opportunities to experiment. You can charge in with guns blazing, hang back and snipe, or use vehicles to turn the tide. The AI is smart and aggressive, forcing you to think on your feet. Legendary difficulty, as always, is a brutal but rewarding challenge for those who want to test their skills. What makes Halo Reach so special is its tone. It's not a victory lap, it's a story about sacrifice and inevitability. You know from the start that Reach is doomed, but the game makes every moment count. By the time you reach the final mission, where Noble 6 makes their last stand, it's impossible not to feel the weight of everything you fought for. Halo Reach is more than just a great Halo game, it's a masterpiece of storytelling, gameplay, and atmosphere. Whether you're in it for the epic battles, the emotional story, or the incredible multiplayer, it's a game that stands the test of time. If you haven't played it yet, it's worth every second. Just be ready to feel some feelings, it's that kind of game. Ōkami. Ōkami is a game that feels more like a timeless work of art than just another adventure title. Originally released in 2006, it blends Japanese mythology, stunning visuals, and innovative gameplay into an experience that still feels unique today. It's a game that's as much about soaking in its beauty as it is about its epic story. You play as Amaterasu, the sun goddess reincarnated as a white wolf, on a mission to restore life and beauty to a world consumed by darkness. It's a story steeped in Japanese folklore, with characters and creatures pulled straight from myth. The narrative is heartwarming and full of charm, striking a perfect balance between humor, drama, and moments of genuine wonder. What immediately stands out about Ōkami is its art style. The game is designed to look like a living ink painting, inspired by traditional Japanese sumi-e art. The visuals are breathtaking, with vibrant colors, bold brushstrokes, and a sense of movement that makes every frame look like it belongs in a gallery. Whether you're wandering through a tranquil village, battling a fearsome demon, or rejuvenating a barren landscape, the game is constantly stunning. The celestial brush mechanic is the heart of Ōkami's gameplay. With a swipe of your controller or stick, you can draw shapes to interact with the world. Need to create a bridge? Paint it? Want to slice through an enemy? Draw a line. It's an ingenious system that feels fresh and intuitive, adding a layer of creativity to everything you do. Solving puzzles and fighting enemies becomes a blend of action and artistry. The world of Ōkami is massive and packed with things to do. From lush forests to snowy mountains, every area is filled with secrets, side quests, and quirky NPCs. Helping villagers with their problems often rewards you with heartfelt moments or clever puzzles. It's a game that invites you to slow down and explore, rewarding curiosity with beautiful sights and charming interactions. If there's one area where Ōkami shows its age, it's in its pacing. The game is long, around 30 to 40 hours, and some sections can feel stretched out with dialogue that occasionally lingers a bit too much. But even these moments are packed with charm, making it easy to forgive. Ōkami isn't just a game, it's an experience. Its blend of stunning visuals, innovative gameplay, and heartfelt storytelling makes it a title that feels timeless. Whether you're here for the art, the action, or just to see what all the fuss is about, Ōkami delivers something truly special. If you haven't played it yet, do yourself a favor and dive into this masterpiece. It's a journey you won't forget. Deus Ex Human Revolution. Deus Ex Human Revolution is the kind of game that makes you question everything technology, morality, and even your own choices. Released in 2011, it's a prequel to the original Deus Ex and still feels as smart and relevant today as it did back then. With its layered story, flexible gameplay, and striking visual design, this is Cyberpunk done right. You play as Adam Jensen, a security specialist turned cybernetically augmented badass after a violent attack leaves him at death's door. The game drops you into a world on the brink of revolution, where advancements in human augmentation have sparked intense debate. The story dives into heavy themes, corporate greed, human evolution, and the ethics of technology while keeping the focus on Jensen's personal journey. It's a narrative that respects your intelligence, giving you multiple perspectives and letting you decide what to believe. The gameplay is all about choice. Human Revolution doesn't force you down one path. Instead, it gives you a toolkit and lets you approach missions your way. Want to sneak through air ducts and disable cameras? Go for it. Prefer to hack every terminal and uncover secrets? That works too. Or maybe you're more of a guns blazing type. Yes, you can do that. Though the game subtly nudges you towards stealth and strategy. The augmentations you unlock are the key to this flexibility, letting you enhance hacking, combat, or movement abilities to suit your style. The level design is a standout. Each area feels like a puzzle box with multiple solutions, rewarding exploration and creative thinking. Whether you're infiltrating a corporate skyscraper or navigating a seedy back alley, the game makes you feel like every decision matters. Hacking terminals to open alternate routes or eavesdropping on NPCs for clues always feels rewarding. Visually, Human Revolution nails the cyberpunk aesthetic. The black and gold color palette gives the game a unique identity, and the world is filled with small details that make it feel lived in. From the bustling streets of Hengsha to the sterile offices of corporate HQs, every location is dripping with atmosphere.
You will not leave here.
The soundtrack by Michael McCann is equally impressive, blending ambient and electronic tracks that perfectly set the tone. The game's approach to morality is another highlight. It doesn't hold your hand or tell you what's right or wrong, it lets you wrestle with the consequences of your actions. Do you save a group of hostages, risking the chance to stop the attackers? Do you confront a shady NPC, or let them go to gather more intel? These choices often have ripple effects, making you second guess your decisions later on. Deus Ex Human Revolution is a game that makes you think. Its blend of storytelling, choice-driven gameplay, and rich world building creates an experience that's as engaging now as it was over a decade ago. Whether you're here for the cyberpunk vibes, the stealthy gameplay, or the philosophical questions it raises, this is a game that sticks with you. If you haven't played it yet, it's time to see what all the fuss is about.
Think he's working with someone?
Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor is a game that takes the rich world of Tolkien's lore and turns it into an exhilarating sandbox of revenge, combat, and orc-slaying mayhem. It's an action-adventure title that not only delivers satisfying gameplay but also introduced the groundbreaking Nemesis system, making every encounter feel personal and unpredictable.
Keep away from his hand!
You play as Talion, a ranger who's resurrected after being killed alongside his family. Bound to the Wraith of Celebrimbor, the elven smith who forged the Rings of Power, Talion embarks on a bloody quest for revenge against Sauron's forces. The story walks a fine line between fan service and its own dark, original tale. It's not a deep dive into Tolkien's lore, but it's engaging enough to keep you hooked. The combat feels like a refined version of the free flow systems from the Arkham games. It's fast, fluid, and brutal, with Talion delivering devastating blows and pulling off cinematic finishers. You'll chain combos, counter enemies, and unleash powerful wraith abilities that let you dominate orcs in combat. The thrill of taking on a horde of enemies and coming out unscathed never gets old. But the real star of the show is the Nemesis system. Orcs in Sauron's army aren't just faceless enemies, they have names, personalities, and a hierarchy. If one of them kills you, they rise through the ranks, remember their victory, and taunt you the next time you meet. You can exploit their fears, strengths, and weaknesses, making every encounter feel like a tactical chess game. The system ensures that no two playthroughs are alike, and it's so impactful that you'll find yourself developing rivalries with specific orcs. The open world is split into two regions, the desolate volcanic plains of Udune and the lush, forested Nirn. While the environments aren't as expansive or varied as some other open world games, they're packed with things to do. Hunting down collectibles, completing side missions, and taking on power struggles between orcs all add to the experience without feeling like busy work. Upgrades and progression keep you invested in Talion's journey. As you gain experience, you unlock new skills for both Talion's physical abilities and Celebrimber's wraith powers. Whether it's stealthily dominating an orc captain to turn him into an ally, or pulling off flashy combat moves, the progression feels meaningful and rewarding. If there's a criticism, it's that the story doesn't quite reach the same heights as the gameplay. While it's entertaining, it leans heavily on revenge tropes and lacks some of the depth and nuance you might expect from a game set in Middle-earth. However, the Nemesis system more than makes up for it by creating dynamic, player-driven stories within the gameplay. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor is one of those games that's just fun to play. The combination of brutal combat, clever stealth, and the endlessly entertaining Nemesis system ensures you'll always have a story to tell about that one orc who just wouldn't die, or the time he turned an entire stronghold against itself. Whether you're a Tolkien fan or just love a good action game, this one's a must-play. Infamous Second Son. Infamous Second Son is a game that knows how to let you have fun with superpowers. Set in a stunning recreation of Seattle, it's all about unleashing chaos, making tough moral choices, and enjoying the sheer thrill of being a human wrecking ball or a hero who can save the day. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel, but it delivers an experience that's undeniably entertaining. You play as Delson Rowe, a rebellious graffiti artist who accidentally gains powers after a run-in with a conduit. This universe's superhumans. The story kicks off with Delson trying to save his tribe from a government agency called the DUP, which is hunting down conduits. The narrative is straightforward but effective, with a mix of emotional beats, humor, and the kind of angst you'd expect from a young protagonist discovering his powers. Troy Baker's performance as Delson is charismatic and gives the character plenty of personality, even if he sometimes comes across as a bit cocky. The powers are the star of the show, and Second Son gives you a variety to play with. Starting with smoke-based abilities, you'll eventually unlock neon, video, and concrete powers, each offering unique ways to approach combat and exploration. Smoke is all about short-range, explosive attacks, while neon feels sleek and fast, letting you zip around like a glowing blur. Each set of powers comes with its own skill tree, and switching between them on the fly keeps things fresh. The gameplay strikes a great balance between destruction and precision. Combat encourages you to think creatively, chaining attacks, using the environment, and mixing up your powers to handle different enemies. Whether you're obliterating DUP checkpoints with a well-placed smoke bomb or sniping foes from a distance with neon precision, it always feels satisfying. Seattle is the perfect playground for all this mayhem. The city is vibrant and detailed, with landmarks, graffiti spots, and hidden collectibles scattered throughout. It's not the biggest open world, but it's densely packed and designed to make traversal fun. Running up buildings, gliding through the air, or speeding across rooftops with neon powers never gets old. The morality system is back from previous Infamous games, letting you choose between good and evil paths. Your decisions affect the story, your powers, and how NPCs react to you. It's not the deepest moral system, but it's effective enough to make you feel the weight of your actions. Will you save civilians or use them as collateral damage in your quest for revenge? The choice is yours, and the game reflects it with different endings and upgrades. Visually, Second Son is gorgeous even by today's standards. The lighting, particle effects, and weather systems make Seattle feel alive, especially at night when neon lights up the streets. The character models and animations are top-notch, bringing a cinematic quality to every cutscene and battle. If there's a downside, it's that the story, while enjoyable, doesn't hit the emotional highs of its predecessors. The stakes are smaller, and the supporting cast isn't as memorable as Cole's crew from the earlier Infamous games. Still, Delson's journey is engaging enough to keep you invested. Infamous Second Son is all about having fun with your powers and causing or preventing as much chaos as possible. It's a visually stunning, action-packed ride that delivers a satisfying mix of exploration, combat, and choice. Whether you're here to save the city or burn it down, it's a blast from start to finish. Borderlands 2. This game dropped way back in 2012, but honestly, it feels like it could have come out last week. Like, the moment you boot it up, that distinct art style just slaps you in the face. The CL-shaded visuals, those bold outlines, the crazy vibrant colors, none of it looks old. In fact, it's almost like the game exists in this timeless pocket of gaming where it just doesn't age. But what really keeps Borderlands 2 feeling fresh isn't just how it looks, it's how it plays. The gunplay, still top tier. It has that crunchy, satisfying feedback that makes every firefight an adrenaline rush. And the loot system, oh, it's still the gold standard for looter shooters. The sheer insanity of the weapon combinations makes you feel like every chest you crack open is Christmas morning, even when you're 20 hours deep. And then there's the humor. I mean, Claptrap is still out here dividing people, but love him or hate him, the writing in this game is just so on point. Handsome Jack might still be one of the best video game villains of all time. The dude is charming, hilarious, and infuriating all at once, which is a tricky balance to nail. And those side quests, they're brimming with jokes and references that just hit differently even today. Another thing that's worth pointing out is how Borderlands 2, unlike some other games from its era, totally nailed co-op gameplay. The drop-in, drop-out multiplayer is seamless, and the way your abilities interact with your buddies is, whether it's Maya holding enemies in a bubble while Zero snipes them, or Salvador just going full guns blazing chaos mode, makes every playthrough feel like an entirely new game. Now, if there's one thing that might show the game's age, it's probably the UI. Like, yeah, the menus can be a little clunky, especially if you're trying to compare a bazillion guns, but honestly, that's such a small gripe when the rest of the experience holds up this well. And you know what? With the Borderlands 3 quality of life upgrades still fresh in people's minds, it's kind of wild that Borderlands 2 still feels this good to play. Like, this game doesn't need modern patches or tweaks to make it feel relevant, it just is. It's one of those games where if you've never played it before, you're gonna be shocked when you realize it's over a decade old. And if you have played it, well, there's a reason people keep going back to Pandora. It's chaos, it's fun, and it's timeless. Borderlands 2 is living proof that some games just don't need to change to stay great. Serious Sam 3. Alright, so here's the deal with Serious Sam 3. This game dropped in 2011, and if you were a fan of chaotic FPS madness back then, you probably already know it's an absolute riot. But here's the thing, boot this up today and it still feels amazing. Like the kind of amazing where you're blasting through hordes of enemies with a grin plastered on your face the whole time. The first thing you notice? The game's visuals hold up surprisingly well. It's got that gritty, grounded aesthetic, but somehow it doesn't look dated. The environments are super detailed ancient ruins, sprawling deserts, all that good stuff, but they're balanced out by the absurdity of the action. And the lighting, especially for a game this old, still looks clean. It's not ray tracing or anything, but it gives off this sharp, atmospheric vibe that totally works. Now, the gameplay, oh man, the gameplay is where Serious Sam 3 absolutely shines. This isn't some tactical, slow-paced shooter where you're peeking corners. Nope, this is run and gun, pure chaos, and you're going up against hordes. Like, I'm talking hundreds of enemies rushing at you, and the game never lets up. You've got your classics, the cannon, the double-barrel shotgun, the rocket launcher, and they all still feel weighty, punchy, and just plain fun to use. What's crazy is how well the enemy AI holds up. These aren't your generic one-at-a-time enemies. No, Serious Sam 3 throws waves at you, but each enemy type has a distinct behavior that forces you to constantly shift your strategy. You're dodging headless kamikazes while a biomechanoid fires missiles at you from across the map, and it's this beautiful, chaotic dance of survival. Oh, and let's talk performance for a sec. This game runs smooth as butter, even on modern systems. Crow Team was ahead of their time with optimization, and it shows. The huge battles, the massive explosions, it all runs flawlessly, even when things get absolutely bonkers on screen. What really stands out though is how Serious Sam 3 balances its tone. It's self-aware, sure, but it doesn't lean too hard into comedy or nostalgia. It's just unapologetically over the top with ridiculous weapons, enemies, and that old school FPS charm that's missing in so many modern games. And that soundtrack, still absolutely banging. The way it ramps up when things get intense, it gets your blood pumping every time. Now, is it perfect? Well, the story's there, but let's be real, it's more of an excuse to throw you into the next insane set piece. But honestly, that's what makes Serious Sam 3 so timeless. It knows exactly what it's trying to be, and it nails it. No fluff, no unnecessary systems, just pure adrenaline-fueled fun. If you're looking for something that reminds you why you fell in love with FPS games in the first place, Serious Sam 3 is it. It's not just aged well, it's a reminder that sometimes simplicity and chaos are all you need to make a game feel fresh, even over a decade later.
She's come to life. My sweet angel combustion.
Mad Max. This game somehow, well, it's still one of the most underrated open world games out there. I mean, if you boot it up today, you'd be hard pressed to believe this game is almost a decade old. Like visually, chef's kiss. The sand, the storms, the rusted out post-apocalyptic chaos, it all still looks incredible. You can almost feel the grit under your nails when you're cruising through the wasteland. The first thing that'll grab you is the world design. Avalanche Studios absolutely nailed the atmosphere here. The wasteland is massive, but it's not empty, it's alive. Sandstorms roll in, debris flies everywhere, and every ruined settlement or canyon feels like it tells its own little story. The way the lighting hits, especially during sunrise or sunset, it's pure magic. And that's not even getting into the storms. Oh man, the storms are still jaw-dropping. You get caught in one, and suddenly the whole world's trying to kill you with lightning and tornadoes throwing junk at your car. It's wild. Now, gameplay-wise, Mad Max is this perfect mix of vehicular combat and gritty brawling. Driving around in the magnum opus and ramming enemy convoys off the road, still as satisfying as ever. The car combat feels weighty and impactful, with every collision, explosion, and harpoon hit giving you that visceral, yeah, I did that moment. And the hand-to-hand combat, it's basically Batman Arkham meets brutal survival instincts. It's slower, heavier, and it's got this raw, desperate edge to it that makes every punch feel earned. But what really makes Mad Max stand out is the progression system. Upgrading your car feels meaningful, like you're building something that's truly yours. From the spikes on the wheels to the thunderpoon on the back, every tweak and upgrade feels like it matters. And it's not just about making the magnum opus look cool, it's about survival. The wasteland is brutal, and the game makes sure you feel that. Now, the story, okay, it's not winning any awards, but it does its job. Max is gruff, damaged, and out for survival. Just like you'd expect, the supporting characters, especially Chumbucket, add a lot of personality to the bleakness. And the game leans hard into that Mad Max vibe of everything is falling apart, and people will do anything to stay alive. It's dark, it's gritty, but it's exactly what it needs to be. If there's one minor nitpick, it's that the open world formula can feel a bit checklisty at times. Clear this camp, scrap that outpost, but even then, the gameplay loop is so fun that it rarely feels like a chore.
Almost within reach. And by your life, you're gonna find
Styx, Master of Shadows. I gotta say, it's one of those stealth games that really doesn't get the love it deserves. But here's the thing, it's aged so well that if you jumped into it today, you'd probably assume it's a recent indie release. From the sneaky gameplay to the surprisingly deep world building, it still holds up in ways that even some modern stealth games don't. Let's start with the visuals. Now, this isn't some AAA graphical powerhouse, but Styx has this dark, grimy, fantasy vibe that just works. The environments are packed with detail, from the towering medieval architecture to the shadowy corners where you'll spend most of your time lurking. It's all got this gritty, lived-in feel, and the lighting, man, the lighting is so crucial for a stealth game like this. It's sharp, dynamic, and really adds to the tension when you're sneaking through dimly lit hallways, knowing that stepping into the wrong spot could get you caught. And speaking of tension, the gameplay here is still chef's kiss for stealth fans. Styx doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, it's pure stealth, plain and simple. You're sticking to the shadows, avoiding patrols, and planning out your moves like a chess master.
noise. Avoid running and farting.
But what makes it stand out is Styx himself. This goblin isn't your average stealth hero. He's foul-mouthed, sarcastic, and surprisingly likable in this weird anti-hero way. His abilities like turning invisible or cloning himself to create distractions add just enough spice to the formula to keep things interesting. One thing that's aged really well is how the levels are designed. They're huge, multi-layered, and absolutely packed with options. Want to take out enemies one by one? Sure. Prefer sneaking past without a trace? Go for it. It's one of those games where you feel smart for figuring out a clever way to bypass a room full of guards or pull off a silent takedown on a particularly tricky enemy. And the verticality, oh man, the verticality is key. Climbing, leaping, and dangling from ledges all feel smooth and give you so much freedom to approach objectives your way. Now, it's not all perfect, the combat. Yeah, it's not great. If you get caught, you're usually better off just restarting from the last checkpoint. But honestly, that's kind of the point. Styx is all about stealth, and it doesn't pretend to be anything else. See, it rewards patience and planning, and if you're someone who loves the thrill of outsmarting enemies, it's so satisfying. Performance-wise, Styx still runs great on modern systems. It's not super demanding, so even if you're rocking older hardware, you'll get a smooth experience. And let's not forget the soundtrack. It's subtle, atmospheric, and perfectly complements the slow, methodical pacing of the gameplay. If you're a fan of games like Thief or Dishonored and you somehow missed this one, now's the perfect time to give it a shot. And even if you played it back in the day, Styx is worth revisiting. It's a stealth experience that's aged like fine wine.
Get me some amber. Yeah. That would...
Stand up and cheer.
Mafia 2. Mafia 2 is still one of the most cinematic, story-driven open-world games out there, booted up today, and it feels like a classic gangster movie that somehow never went out of style. The world, the story, the atmosphere, it's all so good that you almost forget this game is over a decade old. First off, the visuals. Even without the remastered definitive edition that came out a while back, Mafia 2 holds up surprisingly well. Empire Bay is just so detailed, so alive. It's not a sprawling, endless open world like a modern GTA or anything, but that actually works in its favor. It feels tighter, more focused, and every part of the city is dripping with that 1940s and 50s vibe. The snow-covered streets in the winter chapters, absolutely iconic. The lighting, the reflections on old-school cars, and the era-appropriate designs still make this game a feast for the eyes. But let's talk about the heart of the game, the story. Mafia 2 tells the tale of Vito Scaletta, a young guy trying to make a name for himself in the mob. And man, the writing here still feels so sharp. It's got that classic rags to riches gangster arc, but it's not afraid to show the downsides, the betrayals, the violence, the toll it takes, it's all there. And the performances? Spot on. Vito, Joe, and the rest of the cast feel like real people with relationships that evolve in believable, often heartbreaking ways. The gameplay, still solid. The shooting mechanics are simple but satisfying, and the cover system holds up really well. The driving feels weighty and realistic, especially when you're behind the wheel of those classic cars. And oh man, the cops remember when games cared about making traffic laws a thing. Yeah, Mafia, it keeps you on your toes with speed limits and traffic stops, and while it might sound annoying, it adds this layer of immersion that modern games just don't bother with. And then there's the music. The licensed soundtrack is Chef's Kiss, cruising through Empire Bay while classics from Dean Martin or Chuck Berry play on the radio. It's a whole vibe. The music doesn't just set the tone, it drags you straight into the time period and makes you feel like you're living it. One thing that's really aged well is the pacing. Unlike a lot of open world games, Mafia, it doesn't get bogged down with endless side quests or busy work. It's a tightly crafted experience where every mission, every encounter feels like it's driving the story forward. Sure, you can explore the city and soak in the atmosphere, but the focus is always on the narrative, and it makes the whole game feel timeless. Mafia 2 is one of those games that feels like stepping into a time capsule, not just because of its setting, but because of how well it captures the essence of what makes a story-driven game unforgettable. It's moody, it's cinematic, and it's still one of the best mob stories gaming has ever seen. If you've never played it, or even if you've been through it before, it's worth revisiting. Empire Bay is just as captivating now as it was in 2010.